first of all, I just want to say thank you guys for watching this videos. My last video, which was the intake install, did really well, at least so far for this channel. I really appreciate that. I also really want to say thank you to those who have subscribed. I know it's not like a crazy amount, but for a new channel like this, I think it's been great. Really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. Today we're going to be talking about the Raceland coilovers that I have installed a couple months back. Even though it's been a couple months, but I only drove like a little over 2,000 miles on it. So it's for a new suspension like this, definitely give it some time to let it settle before you slam it down or make some crazy adjustments to it. So we're gonna be talking about these mainly today. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna jack the car up and let's go from there. Well, that's not gonna fit. I got these low profile jack stands because I know I'm gonna lower in the future, but I guess it didn't really work out, huh? So I usually like to jack up my car, especially on the fronts, from the center of the subframe, so that when I jack it up, I can put on both jack stands at the same time. Can just jack it up from the side, but I don't usually like to do that. So, well, man, this kind of sucks. Well, I guess it's, let's do this the proper way and go to depot and get some wood. Finally getting some good sunlight in western Pennsylvania. First glance, you can kind of tell right away that the threads are very dirty. There's a lot of gunk in there. They've been through one winter. Another thing that I noticed is that if you look at the springs, like this mark right here, this tells me that the springs has bottomed out. Basically, this level has touched this level. You see the markings right there as well. They have touched each other, which means that they have bottomed out, which probably isn't a good thing. But other than that, it looks pretty good. All the bolts and everything are still intact, which is great. But I'm gonna clean this collar here so that hopefully we can demonstrate a little adjustment and move on from there. Threads are a lot cleaner now compared to before. Let's hope that these won't seize up. We will know very soon. But I mainly want to talk about, when you're adjusting coilovers, there's mainly two types of coilovers. One is the ones that I have right here, which you will adjust over here. When you're adjusting, you're going to be changing the preload of the spring. When you want to raise it a lot higher, you raise this thing up, the spring's preload will be a lot tighter. There's another type of coilover which usually are more expensive, is that you can actually adjust the bottom collar. There will be another bottom collar that exists at the bottom, and you can twist it, unlock it, twist it, and then adjust the height from there. The benefit of that is when you adjust the height, it will not affect the preload of the spring. That's why usually those are better options. But again, those are usually more expensive. To adjust the coilovers, usually when you buy the coilovers, they will give you these wrenches. I think they're called spanner wrenches, maybe. But if they don't provide them or if you lose them, you can buy them online. They're pretty cheap, I remember. But anyways, one usually is bigger, one usually is smaller. Obviously, the smaller one is the one for the bottom here. The larger one will be the one on the top here. In order to adjust the height, you'll have to loosen the collar first. So to loosen it, we will have to loosen the bottom collar. Oh, there we go. Yes, it is not seized. Perfect. Okay, so once that is loose, let's see if we can. Yes, it is not seized. Woo! Perfect. All right, so for example, if I move it this way and then I rotate the one at the top as well so that the spring can be lower, or if I want to raise it, I would raise the one at the top and then put this thing back in order to lock it. And then in order to lock it back in, we would do it in the opposite direction, the bottom to the right and the top to the left. Like this. And this will lock your suspension's ride height. So currently, I'm pretty happy with the ride height is right now, so I don't really want to adjust it. And to adjust the dampers, you will have to open up the trunk. Usually over here, you can remove this rubber, flip this up. You'll notice this knob right here. This is how you adjust the damper's hardness or stiffness. If you turn it to the left or counterclockwise, it will be soft. It'll be softer. And if you turn it to clockwise, it'll be harder. Currently, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right now, I have my damper set up as 7, which I believe is the middle. I have tried, for the front, I have tried the softest and the stiffest. I feel that on 7 and 15, I think is the largest number it goes to. 7 and 15 feels pretty similar, but the softest side, which I guess we can call it 1, is a lot softer. It's still stiffer than stock, obviously, but the reason I did not go with the softest setting, which actually is a lot more comfortable to daily drive, is because when I set it to the softest setting, my wheel often will hit the liners and the inside of the fender, which obviously is not good. Because the car is a lot lower, there's a lot of easier chance for the wheel to hit the upper fender or the liner inside the fender. So I decided to go back to 7, which I think is a good compromise between comfort and stiffness. And at 7, I don't think I have ever hit the fender ever. So that is the setting that I'm going with. The suspension ride height, as you saw earlier, pretty much is at the highest setting. Maybe there's a couple of threads left, but I kind of want to keep it there. It's a good ride height for now. I do not really want to just slam it all the way and deal with my wheel just smashing into the fender liner all the time. So that's good. Let's get onto the rears and I'll show you guys how the rears are doing. My guess is we probably have to clean the threads as well, but we'll see. For the rears, I've already cleaned up the threads, so the threads looks pretty clean and shiny right now. Definitely do clean up the threads on your coilovers like at least maybe once after the winter is done, because the threads are very dirty. There's a lot of gunk and you definitely don't want them to seize up. But the rears looks pretty nice. There's no sign of the springs, touching each other, which is good, which means that it is not bottoming out. To adjust the height, similar to the front, you're going to be using the wrenches that I mentioned earlier and adjust this collar. Obviously, to raise it up, you will lower the car. To lower this collar, the car will be higher. There's also 2 types of I guess we can call this the spring perches. Some coilovers come with the rear spring perch at the top like this, the adjustable collar at the top like this. Some will have these adjustable collars at the bottom, which will be inside the lower control arm and make it very difficult to adjust the height. If you want to adjust the height, you will have to loosen this lower control arm, remove the spring, adjust the height, put it back in, and do it all over again. So I would recommend, if you're looking for a coilover, definitely look one that has the spring perch at the rears on the top. Save you a lot of time and effort if you want to adjust them. For the dampers on the rear, you will be adjusting this thing right here, this blue knob right here. Same thing as the front. If you turn it counterclockwise, it is softening the damper. If you turn it clockwise, then it will be stiffening it. Currently, it's the same as the front. I left it at the center, which is 7. And so far, I feel like the rears are a little bit more bumpier than the front. I'm not sure if it's just my car, but that is how I feel so far. I'm just gonna leave it as it is right now. Again, I don't really want it to bottom out and hit the fenders or anything. So having it set as 7 is what I have right now. Well, there you go. Those are the updates for the coilovers and the kind of the settings that I have that I'm currently running right now. So having it set up both front and rear at 7, I feel like is a pretty good compromise. If you also own a set of these coilovers, please let me know what kind of setup you run. If you own a Mark V, and it'll be even better, kind of what the setup you have, the right height and all that stuff. Both front and rear pretty much is set at the highest setting right now. I would say I'd recommend, if you're doing this set of coilovers, definitely, or actually any set of coilovers, when you first install them, I know you're gonna want to slam it. It's very difficult not to, but please don't. Please give it some room, because after a couple of thousand miles, the suspension is going to settle and it's going to be lower than when you first dropped the car. So please give it some room. After a couple of thousand miles, let it settle, and then you can adjust it, kind of fine tune however, what kind of a stance, what kind of a look you want. One additional problem that I have after installing these coilovers is that because the right height is lower during the night, I noticed that when I turn on the headlights, obviously during the night, when I go on corners or when I go on bumps, especially when I turn right, which is going to be compressing the front left suspension, I noticed that the headlight will kind of jitter and move up and down a lot. It goes crazy, it goes nuts, and a lot of the times it will be dropping down so low that I can't pretty much even see the road. I'm still trying to look for a fix for that right now. So far, I haven't found anything to fix it online, but if you know or if you have experienced this, please leave a comment down below. Let me know how you fix this issue. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but it sometimes does get kind of annoying. Like, you can't see far ahead of the road. You have to turn on your high beams, or people across the road are gonna think like you're flashing lights towards them or something like that. They get unhappy, they start honking at you, they start to flashback, things like that. If you guys know, hit me up. Drop a comment down below, let me know how you guys fix it. So far, the research that I've done, I've checked the headlight leveling sensor, the angle at which the sensor is pointing. There's like a joint. That joint is pointing outwards, which is what I have right now. Other than that, I don't really know what else I could do. That's the only downside that I have with these coilovers. Other than that, it drives great. Definitely stiffer than the stock suspension. The turning, it definitely is a lot stiffer and it feels a lot sharper when you're turning into a corner. Front end kind of just points and just shoots right into that corner, which is really great. Downside is just that it's going to be very bumpy. It is a lot harsher ride compared to the stock one. Would I do it again? Yes, because of the price. I mean, I got these for around 500 bucks. I think it's definitely worth the upgrade, because my original ones, my stock ones, were broken. The rear springs have snapped in half. I think it's totally worth it. There are definitely other coilovers options out there, and a lot more expensive ones, obviously. Maybe they're better, I don't know. I have not experienced them, but so far I'm pretty happy with this set. But other than that, that's pretty much it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope these information are helpful. Subscribe, share it with your friends. If there's any questions or if there's any suggestions, leave it down in the comment below, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.